Welcome to this segment on email with Gmail. In this particular video, we're going to be exploring how Gmail can be used in a variety of ways in a school setting. We can also how to access Gmail from our app launch icon, as well as a few other items listed here. So let's quickly talk about using Gmail in a school setting. Email is really a pretty traditional way of communicating. A lot of us have grown accustomed to using text messages for almost instantaneous communication, but email remains as a quick way to provide documentation, share longer documents as attachments, and also to participate with colleagues through what's called asynchronous communication. That is, communication that's not instantaneous. You can send an email and then wait for the other person to open it at their leisure. Of course, it's not as convenient as text messaging or even using social media apps such as Twitter and Facebook, but it does provide a lot of uses in school settings. So let's talk a little bit about how to access Gmail from the app launch. I'm going to go ahead and switch over to Gmail. As you can see here, I have a pretty straightforward inbox. I currently have no new mail. This is called inbox 0, but I do have mail in my Gmail. So if I were to access Gmail from the app launch icon, I would come up here to this little waffle looking icon, and I will see that Gmail is there. You can also see that there are a variety of different apps that we'll be talking about in future videos, and those are available as well. But the app launch icon is really right up here. Now, finding emails can sometimes, and organizing your emails can sometimes be a little daunting. For most folks, when they check into their email, they actually have many emails that they have to work with. And so how do you sort through all those? How do you get through those emails and organize them? I'm going to share one approach to organizing them, and that will allow us to sort of try out organizing emails using labels as well as creating filters. Now, you may have noticed that when I came down here to my More, I jumped down to something called All Mail. And this is where all your Gmail resides. Whenever you archive an email, uh, it will actually be saved to All Mail. So unless you trash that email, you add it to the trash can or send it to the trash, it will remain as part of all your mail. As you can see up here across the top, I have a variety of icons. The first one is Archive. When I click on Archive, it sends messages straight to All Mail. So we can use the archive as a great way, sort of like a big storage box where we just throw stuff. And sometimes people think of this as your junk drawer where you can put all your content, all your stuff, and it's in there. But one of the challenges with having a junk drawer or having a box that's huge that you can store almost an unlimited amount of stuff in is that it's sometimes hard to find things. Well, Gmail has taken care of that for us because they have made it very easy to search for content. So for example, this is a message from Microsoft. So I could very easily type in Microsoft and press enter, and I'm going to see every email that I've received that has Microsoft in it. If I remove that filter, then I'll get less results. Now I could type in anything with Microsoft and say it has an attachment. And as you can imagine here, this is going to pull up any email with the word Microsoft, but that it has an attachment. That means a file that has been added to the email. That could be a Word document, a PowerPoint presentation, a picture, anything. As you can see here, I have a lot of different files that have attachments. Some are calendar invites that have been attached, as well as anything with a paper clip means that there is some kind of file attachment. Now, sometimes we want to be able to filter messages that come in. So if I come into all mail, let's say that I wanted to filter all messages from one of my colleagues, Peggy Reimers. Here she is. So what I could do is I could quickly do a search on Peggy, and it's going to give me all the emails. So once I have a lot of these emails on the screen, we can click on one of them and come up to these three little dots and choose to filter messages like these. Now what that will do is it'll say, okay, you want to create a filter for all messages from Peggy Reimers, preimers@tca.org. Notice that I can also add specific words to the subject. I could also put in words that might appear in the body of the email message. I could also look for words that don't appear in here. If I want to find all messages that have an attachment, I could do that, and I could avoid chats. I'm just going to go ahead and create filter based on our email so that I can keep all those messages together. And as soon as I do that, it's going to say, well, what do you want to do with those messages? Do you want to skip the inbox? Now, one of the challenges that many of us face is that we have so many messages coming into our inbox that we just don't know how to handle them all. So I would recommend that you create filters for people that you interact with on a regular basis and have those messages go into their own folder or label. Now I'm going to choose to skip the inbox and apply a label. And I can come in and use an existing label. You can see I have quite a few here. Or I can just say new label and call this Peggy. Now since I have existing labels, I can choose to nest them. And that means I would actually put those messages underneath something. Or if I didn't want to nest Peggy, it's actually going to appear so in alphabetical order. It would probably appear right here between Microsoft and Someday. Now, what I also like to do is I like to, if this is an important person that I want to keep track of, I usually add like an exclamation mark at the front. Since all your labels are sorted alphabetically, adding that exclamation mark actually moves it to the top or pretty close to the top. Now when I click create, you'll notice that I now have a Peggy folder or a label right up here at the top. And I'm still creating my filter, and I have another option, which is also apply filter to matching messages. So if I have many emails from a person and I want those to all those to get sort of sucked into and put into my new folder or label, I'm going to click on also apply filter to matching messages and create the filter. I've now created a filter that is being applied to all my messages that are from Peggy. And so when I come over to my Peggy label, here are all the messages that I have received from Peggy. So that sort of covers how to quickly pull messages out. You can do lots of different kinds of searches. So again, you can come here and find different ways to do a search. There are also some other ways to accomplish a search. So for example, one common search that you can do is the is:(unread. And that will show you all the messages that you have not read. This can be pretty handy. Sometimes you don't want to read any of your unread messages, or you really want to work right through them. So if I want to, I can just quickly select all of those messages using this little box up here in the top left, and then use my trash can icon to delete them or to remove them. What I could also do though is say, I don't need to read these. I just want to see what's coming in. So I could come over here and say mark as read, and these messages will no longer show up in this search. So for example, here I have 3 messages that are action TCEA. That's the label that I have applied to them. The filter is applying that label to them as they come in. They arrived on 17 October, and what I'm going to do, that's what they look like. What I'm going to do is just come in and select one of the ones that's still unread and click on this icon and watch what happens to it. As soon as I do that, it says conversation has been marked as read. And if I were to run this search again, that message is going to disappear. This one is here. This is one of 3 that was here earlier. I clicked on one to show you what the content was, and then it disappeared. Then I marked one as unread, and it disappeared. So I only have this one left here. If I wanted to, I could add another filter here to mark them as read as they came in, or not. Now, one of the things that we can also do is select all our messages and archive them. And what will happen is that all of these messages will just get dropped into my all mail, which I pointed out was down there under more. Okay, so all messages have been archived, and they're still showing on my screen because I still have this filter open. But if I were to remove that and just come down here to all mail, I could say is unread, and now here are all those messages. So that's pretty much all that is expected in the Educator Level 1 for Gmail. One tip that you may want to consider is taking a look over here at the right hand side of the screen. You'll notice that there's a little gearbox there. Right next to it, there's also a way to sort of organize your inbox, and it allows you to get what's called vertical or horizontal split. So when you're looking at your messages, you can come down here and pick a message, and it will show you that message content. And this is a pretty nice way of being able to see information on your screen. If you have a wide screen, again, you can come down here and choose an email message, and then you'll be able to scroll through it. So you just get a little bit of a cramped view there, but it just depends on what the look that you want to set your inbox in. Again, you can just go back to full screen of seeing the whole list. Now, another piece is the settings. If you click on the gear, you can come down here to themes and change the look and feel of your particular inbox. And as you can see in the background, it's actually changing the colors on my screen and putting a picture or whatever that's there. I'm going to go ahead and click Save. And so now I have this nice, beautiful background and wallpaper that's available. If I come back to my settings, I can also come here to display density. And sometimes people don't like to have that much text on a screen. It can be uncomfortable. So what you can do is add a little bit more white space. And you can see I've got a nice layout here. Pretty traditional view on the density. Here's what comfortable looks like. And of course, my preference is for compact. I want to get as many emails on my screen as possible. If I come down to settings, I have access to all of these other options, and one of them is where filters are, and this is These are all the filters that I've already created and have available. And so filters are added in, and you can see I have different things going to different places. Um, if I come over here, I can also access my themes, and there's also an advanced tab. The advanced tab actually lets you add different pieces or things here. I have a lot of things enabled, um, but again, this is just a matter of making yourself comfortable inside of the Gmail space. So there I've changed my the number of emails that I want to see on the screen. I want to be able to see 100, and so it's reloaded. And now if I were to look at all of my messages, I'm actually going to have one of 100, and I have a total of 17,000, almost 18,000 emails. Wow, that's a lot. Okay, there are a few other things here, but I think that you can probably explore some of these on your own. Um, what we've essentially covered is being able to access Gmail from the app launch icon, search for specific emails using search terms and labels, creating and adding labels to an email, uh, archiving emails, creating a filter for emails, and adding or customizing the look and feel.